Hey, it's Ross from RossLukeman.com. Today I want to talk to you about the GX LTE 4G cellular modem over there on the left and how it can be used to connect your GX device from Victron to the internet so your system can upload information to the VRM portal. The VRM portal stands for Victron Remote Monitoring, and that is a great little tool which I covered a couple of videos ago that is going to allow you to upload the data of what your system is doing so you can look in on your system from anywhere in the world and see what your solar is doing, what your batteries are doing, your water tank levels or your temperature sensors. Basically anything that's reported to the GX device, you're going to be able to access from the VRM portal. You're also going to be able to update your firmware and your various devices, turn things on and off, and do a lot of cool things with that. But if your system doesn't have Wi-Fi available, then it can't upload to the portal. And that's where this cellular modem is going to come in. Now I have to say, if you do have permanent Wi-Fi available, your GX device is going to use that. It actually will demode the cellular modem. If the cellular modem is working and all of a sudden Wi-Fi becomes available, your GX device is going to hop onto the Wi-Fi. So you only need this modem if your Wi-Fi is intermittent or non-existent. Maybe you have a van or RV where Wi-Fi is not always available, or maybe your system is out in a field somewhere off-grid. There's no internet out there, but you want to be able to look in on your system. In that case, this cellular modem is a great little tool, and after getting a little bit intimidated by some of the problems people have had with the modems in years past, I had a seamless experience setting this up. Once I located a company to purchase a SIM card, we are going to need a little mini SIM card. I'll show you where I got that and how to set that up and how to install it into the modem. But once I plugged that in there, I was able to get online immediately, and it really was a seamless process, and I'm pretty impressed with this little modem. Now, I tend to kind of promote Victron's products in all these videos, and I say how great they are. You may not need this. If your system has Wi-Fi available, this is one item that you may not need. So it's kind of a fallback, or if internet is not consistently available where your system is. Now, aside from putting your system on the internet, it also allows us to connect a GPS antenna to the cellular modem, and we're able to track the location of our system from the VRM portal and see where your system is anywhere in the world. So if you do have a boat or van or RV and you want to be able to look in on where it's located from the VRM portal, we can do that with this cellular modem as well. So what we're going to do is take it off the wall, pop in that SIM card, activate the SIM card. I'm going to show you the two different antennas that you can get for it. And we are going to fire it up. I'm going to show you how to get it connected here in the Cerbo GX as well. Before we get into that though, if you're interested in information on your overall power system, not only connecting to the VRM portal, but also your power sources such as solar, alternator, and shore power, I have a resource that you may be interested in called the Ultimate Van Power Cheat Sheet. It's got a discussion of those three major charging sources, solar, shore, and alternator power. And it talks about how they each have strengths, but they each also have weaknesses. But when you combine them in a holistic power strategy, it's going to make sure that you have a good charge source no matter where you go out on the road, so you can enjoy what you're doing out there and not worry about running out of power. There's also a discussion on the different battery chemistries and the strengths and weaknesses of those. I know that's a big decision, and the discussion on batteries is going to help you narrow in on which battery type is going to be right for your situation. And then lastly, there is a really interesting diagram that is essentially your entire system on one page. It's got the three major charging sources at the top, solar, shore, and alternator power. And it's going to show how that power is linked through your system and how that power gets distributed to your batteries, and then how it gets distributed also to your end devices such as your laptop or your phone charger. For instance, what are the links between your alternator and your phone charger? So it's a really illuminating diagram that I think you'll find useful. To get your own copy of the Ultimate Van Power cheat sheet, all you have to do is click that link below or go to rosslukeman.com/vanpower. So with that, let's pull our modem off the wall, and I'm going to show you how to insert the SIM card. It can be a little bit intimidating to try to find the right SIM card for these cellular modems. What we need is a SIM card that's made for the Internet of Things, basically for machine reporting, and it's not for streaming movies or cell phones. It's basically going to be charging us by the megabyte, and it's a low amount of data for, like I said, machinery to report back to a central database and different remote applications like we have here. So the company that I ended up going with is ConnectSixFab.com, and as I said, this is for the Internet of Things. What I liked about them is the card was $3, activation was $2, and it's going to charge me in particular here in North America 10 cents per megabyte, and it's going to cost a few dollars a month to keep us online. So what you're going to get is the SIM card located in a larger card here, and then you're going to get instructions for registering the card. So we're going to go to connect.sixfab.com here in just a second, and I'll show you how to set that up. But basically, you're going to pop the card out, and the size that this modem takes is the mini size. And nowadays, these cards come in 3 different sizes. Basically, you can break it down to a smaller size if you want the micro or the nano size, I believe it is, for the smaller SIM cards that go in the more modern devices. This modem uses the mini, which is ironically the largest size with a name like mini. But we're going to depress this little button on the side, and it's going to pop out the SIM card slot or tray, and we're going to place our SIM card in there, kind of pop it into place, and just slide it back into the modem. Make sure it seats properly, and we are good to go. So we are done with the modem. This will get online as soon as we register our card. So we're going to go to connect.sixfab.com, and we're going to type in this number and activate that card, and we should be able to get our power system to connect to the internet. When you go to connect.sixfab.com, it's going to ask you to log in. You should have set up login credentials when you purchased the SIM card, so you're going to use those same login credentials here. Once you're in the system, if you don't have any SIM cards registered, it's going to take you to a quick start page where you can register your first SIM card. It's going to ask for the ICC ID, which is that ID number along the barcode that I showed you on the SIM card itself. And there's a little reminder here. If you're not sure which number that is, it's going to show you where on the SIM card to find that number. So we're going to enter our number, and then it's going to ask us to name the SIM card, and I named it the GX LTE 4G. So I named it for the device that it's going into. And then you're just going to click register your SIM. And we need to add a credit card to the account so that it can bill us for data. And then now we need to add some credit to our balance. So we're going to add $10 here. So this is the dashboard. You can see we have a $10 balance. We've got 1 inactive SIM. To see all your SIM cards listed, you're going to go to the SIM section on the left menu, click on My SIMs, and that is going to take you to this page. You can see I have the GX LTE 4G SIM listed. I've got our ID number in there, and it says inactive. So we do need to activate the card. Now this part where it says create device, device status, this is for setting up your SIM card with things like the Raspberry Pi. And it's going to give you a line of code to put into the Raspberry Pi to get it to work with the SIM card. We need to stay out of that completely. We do not need that line of code. All we need is what's under this section where it says show details. We've got some SIM card details there at the top, and we really need to go into the bottom where it says SIM preferences. And we're going to activate our SIM card. It's going to remind you to save your preferences. We can go ahead and click save. And we can rename our SIM card. We can choose all networks or only low-cost networks. I went ahead and chose all. and we can pick a monthly limit for our data of 100 megabytes, which should be plenty for our application, but you can change that to unlimited if you'd like. 100 should be fine. And then this is really important at the bottom, the APN. So this is called the access point name, and the Cerbo GX is going to ask for this when we set up the cellular modem on the Cerbo GX. So you're going to go ahead and write down this APN name here. Mine was Super, but depending on your SIM card provider, yours will be different. Go ahead and write that down, and we'll plug it into the Cerbo GX here in just a minute. And then, of course, if you change anything, you always want to remember to hit Save Preferences. So we're good to go. I want to show you a couple of other tabs here. We have a Stats tab here in the middle, and this is going to show you how many megabytes your SIM card is using on an hourly basis, so you can really break down how much data it's using and how much that's costing you. You can see here in the beginning with my SIM card, it took a lot of data when I first set it up, and I was updating firmware over the cellular networks, really hammering it. And then after that, you can see it doesn't use much data at all to just update to the VRM portal on an hour-by-hour basis. So that'll tell you what it takes per month to run it if you're curious about how much data and how much cost. But I can tell you it's pretty affordable. And then lastly, this area with the device, you can see on the right it says device. That is where you would set it up for Raspberry Pi and related applications. As I said, we don't need that at all. So at this point, our SIM card is active, you can see there. And we are done with the ConnectSixFab website. Next up, let's take a look at a couple of antennas that are available for the GX LTE cellular modem. Out of the box, you can see our cellular modem has a couple of SMA connectors here. These are miniature coaxial connectors, and it comes with this default antenna. It's just going to connect to the top connector here. This is labeled LTE. So that's going to connect to the cell tower networks. The GPS antenna is going to tie in here at the bottom. Now that's completely optional, but if you want to get this little GPS antenna, it's got a little module and it's got a magnet on the back to bond to the roof of your vehicle or a metal box, and that has an SMA connector as well. It's just going to tie in there at the bottom. Now the GPS functionality of this modem does not work at all without this antenna, so you have to have that. Out of the box, it's going to work and connect to the cell tower networks with this small antenna. Now if you have it in a vehicle or a metal enclosure, the reception may be poor for this antenna, so there is an optional antenna that you can use that's going to mount to the vehicle's roof or the roof of a metal enclosure, and it's got the same SMA connector to tie in here. Now this is optimized for 4G. There's a little sticker on there that says LTE, but if 3G or 2G are more prominent in your area, they have an antenna that's optimized for those cell technologies. Now this is optimized for 4G, but it will also pick up 3G and 2G, so this is probably the one that you'd go with. But those are all of the antennas that are available with this modem. Now let me mention the other cords here. We have a power cord that's going to tie into your batteries, and it's going to accept between 8 and 70 volts DC. I know you can't really see that, but basically whatever your battery voltage is, this modem will accept it, and it's got a little inline fuse there. And as far as the connection, it's just going to plug in via USB to the top of the Cerbo GX. So pretty simple to set up. At this point, let's go ahead and put it back next to our system and wire it in. Now I've got the modem back on the wall over there, and I plugged it into the USB port here on the top of the Cerbo GX and connected the power cord to system positive and negative to pick up battery power. So it's ready to go, and all we need to do now is program it to work with the Cerbo GX. So at this point, let's zoom in on the screen here, and I'll show you how to set that up. To set up our cellular modem, what we want to do is click on the main screen and go to Menu. Go to the bottom and click on Settings. And then we're going to scroll down to where it says GSM modem. And I do want to point out, you can see it says GSM modem, Wi-Fi, and Ethernet. So these are the three ways that the Cerbo GX can get on the internet. and these are in the order of priority. So if we have the modem set up, but then Wi-Fi becomes available, it's going to get on that. And then if we plug in an Ethernet cord, it's going to get on that. So it's basically going to go to the fastest, most secure source that's available, even if 2 or 3 of these are set up. But for our purposes, I don't have Ethernet connected, and I have shut down Wi-Fi here on the Cerbo GX, so we should be able to set up the GSM modem, and the Cerbo GX is going to use that to get on the internet. So if I click here, I am already set up, but what I want to do is show you what you may see. Basically, when you first set this up, it may tell you no modem connected like this. And what you can do is, I'm going to go ahead and plug it back in, but we can go back to the general area of the settings and we can click on reboot. So if I click that one more time, it's going to reboot the Cerbo GX, and it should recognize the cellular modem at that point. Now, out of the box, you may plug it in, it may recognize it right away, but if it doesn't, go ahead and reboot. But let's go back and look at some of the modem settings. So you can see that it says online. It's picked up the AT&T cell tower. We've got full bars, so a great signal strength. It's got an R because we're roaming. I do recommend that you turn on allow roaming. I actually turned that off and it dropped my signal for whatever reason. So I would turn that on. SIM status says ready. And the IP address and the IMEI number we don't need to worry about. This is a specific equipment number for my modem. We can leave that alone. And then you can see on the APN, so this is the access point name. It appears to be working with the default APN, but some people have had trouble and they needed to plug in a specific APN, and you saw on the ConnectSixFab website, their APN was super. So if we needed to enter that, we could turn off the default and we could go in and we could type in the name super. Click OK. And of course, it's still working. But that APN is going to be specific to your SIM card provider. So that is for my specific SIM card. Yours may be different, but you may be able to use the default APN. If it works using the default, go ahead and leave it with that. But that is how you set up the GSM modem. And you can kind of see what's going on here at the top. So you can see we have full signal strength. And when it displays the 4G there, that means that it is using that modem to get on the internet. So if I turn on the Wi-Fi, that 4G is going to go away and it's going to be replaced by a Wi-Fi signal. So basically it's showing us that it is indeed using the cellular modem to get on the internet. And then this location pin right here is showing that our GPS is set up. So I did go ahead and connect my GPS antenna. And let me go ahead and show you that really quick. That's in a different section. From GSM modem, you go down to GPS there. And this is my antenna, and then we have some settings. So GPS settings, we can tell it how we want the coordinates to read out. Looks good. And then I chose miles per hour. You can change your speed unit of measure. And then it's just going to show some details about the specific antenna. Actually, this is the GPS coordinates. It's going to show your current speed. It's going to show your altitude and the number of GPS satellites you're connected to. So we're currently connected to 10 GPS satellites. And then if we click on device, it's just going to give you some information about your particular GPS antenna. So that's how you would set up a cellular modem and get your Cerbo GX to connect to the internet so you can connect to the VRM portal. The VRM portal, as I said before, is a very powerful tool for remotely monitoring your system and also being able to control things and update the firmware. And also with the GPS antenna attached, you can actually track your system from the VRM portal, and you can set up a geofence as well. So if your system moves outside of its designated area, the portal will actually email you and tell you that your system has left its designated location. So that's an extra functionality of the GPS antenna. One last thing I wanted to mention, you may have noticed the model number on my cellular modem. It says 4G-A. Victron actually has 3 different models of this modem to match different cellular technologies on the different continents. So they also have a 4G-E and a 4G-SA. So you want to make sure you get the modem that matches your particular area. And the best way to do that is just to order it from a local supplier, because they'll typically have the one that matches your continent or your country. And then lastly, if you want more help with your overall power system, not only getting your system online, but your actual charging sources such as solar, shore, and alternator power, you got to grab a copy of the Ultimate Van Power Cheat Sheet. Just click that link below or go to rosslukeman.com/vanpower. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.